Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation. And that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man. All right? Now here we have a article speaking on a drone the size of a mosquito designed for the Chinese spy missions. Now, if the Chinese have this, you can bet America has it. Okay? So how long have they been spying on you and thinking that you was just hitting a mosquito or that it was a mosquito that you saw when actuality, it was a bunch of drones collecting data. It says the mosquito-sized drone is designed for Chinese spy missions. Military robotics lab reveals incredibly tiny bionic flying robots. Okay, and look at it. Okay, you can't tell me if you saw that flying, you wouldn't think twice that it was just a bug and not nothing else. All right, but it's collecting data. All right, for whatever purpose and causes. It says the super tiny drone put together by a team from China National Defense University of Science and Technology is akin to something out of a spy movie. The team, based in Hunan Province, China, recently shared a new drone they have developed, which is small enough to fit between your fingers. It is as small as a mosquito, and it looks like one too. Just look at it. But it's a drone. It's designed to collect data, intel. Okay? This pesky little spy device first buzzed on your radar shortly after its debut on CCTV, closed circuit television, state TV channel CCTV 7. This was picked up by the South China Morning Post. Okay. It says the remote technology like this isn't just used for spy-related tasks. They can also be resourceful tools for recovering people and equipment from dangerous areas without risking additional bodies. Okay, so I guess they just go in and fly undetected to see where the people or the equipment is located, and then they'll send in a backup team to pick it up because they know the enemies and where they at. If they try to meet them with force, they can beat them to the punch. Okay, it says for recovering people and equipment from dangerous areas without risking additional bodies. Drones like the ones featured here can be highly flexible and useful in various military applications. All right. So if Ammon has it, we know Esau Edom has it. Okay. And he's going to use it. All right. Make no mistake about it. And he's probably already using it. Okay. But the fact of it is, we're not ignorant of Satan devices. Okay. We understand this devil has to use everything he has in his utility belt to come against his truth, man. All right? Even drone-sized mosquitoes, okay? So we're going to get a precept or two, and then we're going to close out. It ain't going to be that long. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. It reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. See? And we know, hey, back then in 2024 or 2023, if I'm not mistaken, when Bill Stage released all those thousands of mosquitoes down there in South Florida, who knows how many of those mosquitoes was actual drones, okay? You see? Collecting data and information throughout, the poverty drought-stricken neighborhoods, okay? All right? Down there in South Florida, Miami, Brevard County. All right? So, hey, who knows, man? But we're not worried, man. See, in this truth, we learn not to worry, man, because we don't fear this man, okay? We know who we are to fear, all right? Him that can kill both the soul and body in torment in hell, all right? So it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us. Why? For we are not ignorant of his devices. Let's go into that word ignorant. Doesn't look like we want to enunciate the word agnoeo. So I will attempt to say it. This is the word G50, agnoeo. And some of the outline biblical usage is to be ignorant, not to know, not to understand, unknown, to err or sin through mistake, to be wrong. So the point that we want to harp on is to not understand or not to know. See, we know now, okay? We know the devil's agenda, all right? Why? Because we have the truth, all right? We know who the enemy is. We know that it's not just him, but it's a conglomerate of all the other nations that are conspiring together to cut off Israel, the Israelites, not the Israelis, but the biblical Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. We know that all the other nations are conspiring together to cut us off, that we should no longer be a nation. All right, as it speaks of in the book of Psalms, the chapter 83, and right around the first, all the way back down to about the 6th or 7th verse. Okay, so we are not ignorant, or we are not what of understanding of, we are not to be ignorant or not to know or not to understand of this devil's devices. All right, so coming with the pea-sized mosquito and thinking nothing of it, we don't care, man. All right, as long as we in the truth, we have nothing to fear, man. All right, we have nothing to fear, as it says in Isaiah 54 in the 17th verse. We don't care about your technology. All right, it's futile to this truth. This is Isaiah 54 and 17. It says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. So your mosquitoes, your robots, whatever, you gotta form them in order for this to be true, but they're not going to prosper. Okay, so it says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And this is speaking of the elect. All right, we ain't speaking of no regular Jake that don't, repent and don't want to seek Yahweh while he may be found. Hey, Esau, along with the other nations, the weapons that they create will prosper against you in that day. All right, it says, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Check this out. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh. Those are the prophets. Those are the ones that are seeking Yahweh. No weapon that's formed shall prosper against them. All right. This is a exclusive group of men. All right. This isn't just your everyday run-of-the-mill six-pack Joe Schmo, man. This is an Israelite man of the elect. No weapon that is formed shall prosper against him. Mosquitoes or anything. All right, so we don't fear, man. All right, but we use it as a teaching tool, but we don't fear. So what if China, Moab, has mosquito robots? We know Esau has them. So how much more the other nations? All right, that's following after the beast. They're going to have that technology or something similar to it. But guess what? It ain't going to prosper. Let's go into that word prosper.
Strong's H, 6743. Saleach. Saleach.
Let's look up some of the outline of biblical usage. To advance, to be profitable. So these weapons, they're not going to advance against the elect. They're not going to be profitable. You can't deceive the very elect, okay? You cannot come against the men of the Lord, all right? To make prosperous, bring to successful issue. Your weapons aren't going to be successful against the elect. The 2/3, yeah, it will be, but not the elect. Cause to prosper, all right? So the point is made. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper or be profitable. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. All right? And that's what we're doing. All right? We're condemning this man and all his counterparts. All right? Because we know ultimately these other nations, they're going to go to war against Yahushua, man. 2nd Ezra 13th chapter. All right? So we condemning them all, man. Okay? No respect of person, man. All right? It's just that Esau, Edom is the number one enemy of the Lord. When you go down there and read Psalms 83, and out of Edom is Amalek, the so-called, you know what, the 1948ers. Psalms 83:1, a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thy silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. Verse 2, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. See, this is all the other nations, man, because they don't serve the true and living power, Yahweh. They have their own God that they serve, albeit it's false and fake. They serve him. So guess what? The Most High has to put all that to rest, man, when he sends his only begotten son, Yahushua. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. This is speaking of the Israelites. They have taken crafty counsel. They was all complicit to us losing our identity in one way, shape, or another. It says, they have said, come, verse 4, and let us cut them off from being a nation. See, this is how we lost our identity, all right? Because we disobeyed the Most High, and he sent these other nations to cut us off from being a nation, that we will no longer know who we are. It says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. That's why we didn't know we were Israelites, all right, until we woke up to the truth. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. And they're going to do it again, because they're going to all be in concordance with the beast system. All right? They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man, and the Ishmaelites, which would be, the Arabs, okay, of Moab, the Japanese, and the Hagarenes, Gebel and Ammon, Japanese, and Amalek. That's the top chief of the Edomites, man. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, which are Africans. Assyria also is joined with them. They have hopen of the children of Lot, Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kison. All right, so the list just goes on, man. So all these other nations, they were complicit, man. There's not one nation that was what? Not complicit in our downfall. That's why there's not going to be any other nation other than Israel ruling in the kingdom. There will be no co-rulership with the Israelites in the kingdom, okay? The Israelites are going to be the ruling class in the kingdom of heaven, okay? And all the other nations will be subjective up underneath us, all right? So it's not far-fetched to believe that these other nations that are forming these weapons are also using them to come against the Israelites in their perspective homeland, whether it be Japan, whether it be China, because Israel is scattered all over, okay? And we are all over. That's pursuant to the curses in Deuteronomy 28. We are scattered abroad, so we're going to look like all other nations as well, okay? So the point being, no weapon that is formed against these shall prosper, and we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, okay? So let's go ahead and close out with 1 Peter 5:8, and it reads to do what? Be sober, be vigilant. See? Whether you see the mosquito or whether you don't, all right? Whether you see a fly, whether you don't, whether you see a tick or whether you don't, you be sober, man. So no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, all right? If you're not sober and if you're not vigilant, that weapon will prosper, all right? If you're not sober and you're not vigilant. Because why? You're not of the elect. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? If that hedge ain't over you, guess what? You gonna get hit with it, man. And if you ain't of the elect, you gonna fall, man. All right? We take a look at Job when that hedge was removed from around him, what happened to him? But he pulled through because why? He was of the elect. All right? If he wasn't of the elect, he wouldn't have came through, man. All right? But see, we got to stay protected and pray to the Most High that he doesn't remove that hedge from around us, man. All right? But no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, even a mosquito-sized drone. Okay? So with that, we're going to conclude the lesson. Also, with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.